Hey guys, I'm Pastor Matt, and this is the weekend wrap-up. This week we continued our series called Church Hurts. If you missed week 1, I'd love to point you to a wrap-up video for that one, but I didn't do one. Maybe I will. This was week 2, and the title of this week's message was Not a Safe Place. I remember when my daughter, Jaden, was little. She was 3 or 4 years old. There was a thunderstorm, like how often happens here in Florida, and she was afraid. And I remember as she was being held by me or my wife, my mother, I remember her saying, I want to go to The Rock. Well, The Rock was a church that our family attended for a number of years, and I was a children's pastor there for a few years. And for Jaden, that represented a safe place, a place where she could get away from this thing, the storm, that was frightening her. Unfortunately, all too often, churches are not safe places for people. Now, when I say safe places, I'm not talking about a safe space, as is often talked about these days, where you can't tell the truth because it might hurt somebody's feelings. Unfortunately, the truth sometimes does hurt. I'm not talking about that sort of safe space. I'm talking about a safe place that is so filled with love that the truth can be spoken and received. I talked about a passage from John chapter 4 where Jesus, he's leaving Jerusalem and he's traveling from the nation of Judea to Galilee, and he chooses to go through Samaria. Going through Samaria is the most direct route. However, Jews so disliked Samaritans that oftentimes Jews would go all the way around the country of Samaria in order to get from Judea to Galilee or back. But Jesus chose to go through it. And as he gets to a point where it's the middle of the day, the hottest time of the day, and he's tired and he's thirsty. And he goes to a well to rest. Now, the disciples are with him. He sends them into town to get food. And after they're gone, a woman approaches the well. A Samaritan woman. Now, it's the middle of the day. The custom of that time was for women to gather water early in the morning when it wasn't so hot. But this woman was gathering water in the middle of the day. And why was that? She was doing that because of her past, which made her an outcast. But Jesus wasn't concerned with that. He knew, as he would reveal later, but he wasn't concerned with that. He looked at this woman and said, "Give me a drink." She had a pot with which to gather water from the well, and Jesus didn't. And she looks at him and says, "How is it that you, a Jew, would talk to me, a Samaritan woman?" Well, Jesus goes on to explain that if she only knew who he was, she would be asking him for living water. She's obviously confused and says, "Well, you're not greater than Jacob, who gave us this well, are you?" Jesus explains that when you drink water from that well, you'll get thirsty again. But the water that Jesus offers, when you drink it, you'll never be thirsty again. He's talking about spiritual water. He's not talking about some well out there somewhere where we can get physical water, drink it, and never have to be thirsty again in our body. He's talking about spiritual water. She wants to know more. And Jesus says, "Go get your husband." She looks at him and says, "I don't have him." Jesus says, "You have told the truth. But you've had 5 husbands, and the man you're with now is not your husband." We don't know for certain, but this is likely the reason that she was gathering water in the middle of the day, knowing that the other women would not be there. She was an outcast, and it's likely because of her 5 husbands and currently being with a man who was not hers. But here's the deal. Jesus knew all that about that woman, and it didn't matter, because what was more important to him was her soul. He shared the good news of Jesus with this woman. He shared the good news that he came to give to us. He shared it with this woman. He He created a safe place. He allowed this well to be a safe place where this woman could hear the good news, hear about the hope that comes from Jesus, and receive it. The story goes on to tell us that the woman went back into town and told all the men about this man at the well that told her everything she had ever done. So the men go out to the well and they spend time with Jesus. And they're so amazed by what he says that they ask him to stay. And he stays 2 days in this Samaritan town. At the very end of the story, it says that many people from this town came to faith in Jesus because of what happened. Jesus knew this woman's past and was willing to look past it because he knew that her soul mattered. This is why church has to be a safe place. Not the kind of safe place where the truth can't be spoken, but a place that is so filled with love that the truth can be spoken and received. This is important because people need Jesus. The church needs to be a place where people can come in with their junk. They can come in dressed in ways that some people might think are inappropriate for church. They can come in with the wrong haircut, or the wrong shoes, or wearing jeans, or maybe even shorts. They can come as they are and feel loved, feel safe. Church needs to be a safe place because people need Jesus. And if we're unwilling to love people enough to make safe places for them, then we're going to miss many opportunities to share the hope that comes from Jesus. Listen, I hope you guys will join us next Sunday as we continue our series called Church Hurts, where we're looking at some of the things that happen to people in church, some of the painful experiences that we've had, and what the Bible, the example that Jesus and others in the Bible give us of what the church should look like. I hope you'll make plans to join us this Sunday. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments. Send me a message, whatever. I'd love to talk more about this with you. See you guys.